Hey everybody, Dr. Andrew here, and I want to answer a question that I know you've had, that I know is on your mind if you are listening to this video and you're not a patient at Thrive yet, which is, what are the scans? What is this technology that you hear us talking about all of the time? Well, I'm going to answer that question. I want to clarify everything, I want to explain why we do it, and make sure that you don't have any more concerns or questions on your mind after this video. So stick with me. The first question we need to answer though is what's the point? Why do we do this? Well, what we want to do through technology, through assessing the nervous system, is look a layer deeper, is look beyond just what the symptoms, what the challenges, what the surface level struggles are, and figure out why is it taking place. That's what our little fuse box poster is here. I know you probably can't read the fine print from way back there, but the way that's set up is this column on the right-hand side. This right part is all the struggles, all the symptoms, all the challenges. And those are the reasons that you reach out. Those are the reasons that you call, because your kid is dealing with this, or you're struggling with that, or you want something in your life to change. And that is totally fine. We get that. But that's not the end of the story. The reason why it's taking place might be different than what the struggle actually is, where it's showing up in your life. So, the brain, the nervous system, controls everything in your body. It runs the show, controls every gland, cell, organ function. And if we can figure out what's going on at that level, if we can assess and measure and improve that underlying operating system, well, all the downstream stuff of that, everything towards that right hand, will maybe take care of itself. Will improve on its own. So scans let us figure that out. It lets us measure how is your body functioning, not just how it's feeling, not just what the symptoms or struggles are. And then that's not just something for day one when you're here at the office. That's something we keep up with. That's something that we do as at a regular interval when we go throughout your care plan, and we want to stay in touch. We want to stay on top of what's changing, how those patterns are ebbing and flowing, so that we know how we can best help you out. So let me walk you through what the actual technology is. There's 3 tests we can do on older kiddos or adults. We do all 3 of these. When we're down to the baby, toddler range, kind of depends on the age range and their mood of the day, what we can accomplish. The first one is right here. For adults, your hand goes in those couple of sensors. For kids, we have a little ear clip or finger clip attachment. And that is the big picture 30,000 foot view of health. It's a technology called HRV, or heart rate variability. It measures the beat to beat variability of your heart rate. Because if you didn't know this, say you take your pulse, it's 60 beats per minute. That's not a metronome. It's not 1 per second. And that variability, when you hone it down to the thousandths of a millisecond, is a function of the vagus nerve. It's a function of the brake pedal, the calming, the growth and development side of your nervous system. So this scan here lets us measure what you may have heard us talk about with that gas pedal versus brake pedal balance. It lets us figure out, how are we doing from that big picture view? Are we stable? Are we doing all right? Or are we shifting more into that stress, survival, fight or flight mode? So that lets us take that big picture view. The other 2 scans let us hone in on where within the nervous system, where within this fuse box are those primary challenges. The 2 ways we do that are, 1, through thermography, and 2nd, through electromyography, or surface electromyography, SEMG. To explain this one first, our thermal scan starts on the bottom of your nervous system, rolls up to the top, and those 2 finely tuned sensors are measuring heat, measuring skin temperature. When your body's working as it should, if your nervous system is functioning well, the left and the right sides of your spine should be the same. There shouldn't be deviations there outside of maybe half a degree or so. This lets us pick up on those deviations, and then we can use an understanding of neurology, understanding of that fuse box, to connect the dots between where those primary patterns of stress and where is it showing up as symptoms. So that is step 2, is measure that, and that is just taking a picture. That's just sensing things. There's no radiation. There's nothing going into the skin. It's just picking up on stuff on the skin. And then finally, we're measuring the nervous system through muscle activation. Muscles are kind of dumb. They don't do anything on their own. They just do what the nerves are telling them to do. So by picking up on what's called surface electromyography, or how well are your muscles activated when you're just sitting up fighting against gravity, it lets us know how connected is your brain. How well is it coordinating that information? That one is really, really interesting for everybody, but especially for kiddos in the sort of ADHD, anxiety, raging bull, bouncing off the walls world, because we actually get to quantify and put a number to the amount of overwhelming sensory input coming into their brain. We'll do that scan on kiddos that are having trouble focusing or having trouble being at ease, and we'll find that at rest, they have 2 or 3 times the amount of input into their brain than they should. So of course you can't sit still in math class if your brain has got Metallica blaring in the background all the time. So that lets us pick up on how efficient is your nervous system, how much energy is there coming in, and how well is it organized? What's the pattern, the symmetry going on there? That complete picture tells us everything we need to know about how your body's functioning and what we can do to put together a plan to get you to a better spot with it. Like I mentioned, there is nothing going to you for these. There's no radiation. There's no negative impact of it. It's literally just like someone taking your picture. So it's safe for our pregnant mamas and our brand new newborn babies and anyone in between. Hopefully that answers some questions. Hopefully that clears things up. And hopefully you see why we talk about these scans so much and why they are such a big part of what we do. Because, as my corny chiropractor dad jokes say, the scans dictate the plans. And we don't guess, we test. It really is true. It's not just a joke. I know, I've got lots of good jokes. It really is true though. We want to figure out how do we put together a game plan to get you, get your family at your best, not just guess and hope for the best. Let us know if you've got questions on those. Let us know if that piques your interest and you want to set up a scan for yourself, for your kid, for someone you know. We'd be more than happy to make that happen and clarify any other concerns or thoughts that you have. One other thought on that. I should mention, parents sometimes are like, oh man, there is no way you would ever get my kid to sit still for that. And I get it. Kids are crazy. My own kids are crazy and wild too. But I promise, we have been there before. Anything from angry, crying, fussing newborns to completely nonverbal autism spectrum, can't even take their shirt off kids. We can adapt. We can do our best. We'll do what we need to do to collect that information and then put a game plan together to maybe do a more complete analysis when the opportunity presents itself. So please do not stress about that. I promise we've been there before. We get it, and we'll be flexible to make it work for your kiddo. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I cannot wait to meet you in the office soon.